I made this system quite simplistic on purpose in terms of the interfaces. And in the background, there are many tables that are related with each other and that are stored in a source page that you can find if you unhide the pages. So you can see the left sidebar menu is a navigation from planning all the way to travel resources that you can manage in here. Phase 1 is planning. So that's where you actually decide where you're going to be. And you can schedule those things in advance, weeks in advance. And then once you define that, you can plan each location. Planning each location means booking flights, accommodations, experiences, and anything else that you need to make sure that you can actually prepare for the travel properly. You also have a packing checklist that is automatically populated for each location and that you can manage easily from the location page. Then you can keep track of everything that you have in one place. That's the dashboard. So the planning page is where you will find each week, and that's where you can define where you're going to be each week. For example, this is the current week, and that's why it is green. There is a location here. And keep in mind that weeks are created automatically, so you don't have to create this manually. They are automatically generated every week, so you always have weeks populated here, and you can just plan things out. Then you can easily see at a glance in here whether there is a flight already for this location, and if there is an accommodation. If these are empty, then you might want to continue planning. So you can open the location like so. You can also expand it if you like. And this is the location layout. So for each location, you will have this same exact layout and you know exactly what to expect. And once you get used to the system, it will become easy to enter info. So in here, I'm going to add a flight. There is the departure. Let's say this is from New York to San Jose. Now, because I created New York, this is now a location page, as you can see. So then there is the date of the flight, time, and if you want, you can also add any attachments in here. And then you have the price that you can keep track easily, like so. Then there is the apartment and the accommodations where you're staying, apartments or hotels, whatever it is. And you can save multiple ones. So in the research phase, you might save multiple options that you have, but then keep track of the ones that you actually book via the status here. So that's why this is stayed. It can be booked. At the beginning, it will be saved. Then it is contacted. If you get in touch, then it can move to booked, stayed, or discarded. So you can see here, for example, I had two options. I had two options, and then one was selected, and the other one was discarded. That's why this is green. Here is a URL where you can save the URL to the booking site, the hotel website, whatever it is. Then you can set the date. So this is from April 7th to April 20th. You can set the price per unit. Then the total units. You can see here there is a tooltip explaining exactly what this means. For example, units might be nights or days or months, depending on the unit that you use in your booking. And then any additional fees. Sometimes booking platforms have additional fees, so that's where you can adjust that price. And there is the total price, that is price per unit times total units plus additional fees. And that's the total price that's automatically calculated for you. If you want to have the price per unit be the same as the total price, you just enter it here. Then you enter 1 unit and that's it. You can also rank accommodations. So after the usage phase, you save a bunch of accommodations and you might want to rank them in terms of your preference from 1 to whatever it is. Then you can easily decrease the number here to sort things properly. Keep in mind that each flight and each accommodation as well, because that's a table view, as you can see, I can also expand that row to see all the info. In here, I'm going to actually apply the correct layout that is like this, more beautiful and more organized. And I can see for this accommodation, the location, the status, the URL, and all the other columns that I showed you in the table view. In addition, there are also experiences that I can plan in the location. Experiences are activities that you might want to do and save in here. So I can add a new experience, the date, the duration, any notes. I can expand this and then enter any notes. I can use the slash command to format things. There is the URL, there is the price, reflections, post experience, and then you can add images as well here if you like. Okay, let's go back, and here we are still in the location page, and in the location page we can then see the total cost of this location. That means the flight price that you enter here, the accommodation price that you enter here, the experience prices. And if you want to adjust the total cost, maybe there were some additional expenses that weren't accounted for in these three things, then you can do this right here, and the total cost will be adjusted. So in the future, you can always reference this and keep track of these things over time. You can also track resources. Resources are any relevant links, websites, posts that you find useful for that particular location. But resources are sometimes also generic about travel, and you can find them here in the resources tab. I'm going to show you later what that looks like. So in here I can select these resources, or I can add a new resource easily. Let me switch layout, and then here there is a resource. I can add the tags in here and say experiences, the URL, related countries, and then any notes that I have in here. Now we are back on the location page here, San Jose in this example. And when I scroll down, I also have checklists. So before arrival, there are a few things. In the usage guide, I provide a step-by-step guide on how to update this checklist for locations if you want to change it. And so then when you prepare for this, you can go through all these steps and make sure that you don't forget anything, and that you don't have to think about all the components of trip planning. That you can actually outsource this thinking into the system and then just execute and follow the checklists. Here is a place for favorite spots, and the notes that you might want to enter, and the packing list. So when you open these up, you will then have the packing list, which you can also customize for your own use, and there is a dedicated guide in the usage guide. Okay, post-trip reflections, that's where you can type some text. The year visited, that's the first year that you visited this location, let's say 2025. And then the selected accommodation in here. So you can see now we have the flight, we have the accommodation. We saw the actual location page and what that looks like. Then you can see in locations, you can have a panoramic view of all the locations that you have in the system and their status. So this is also your sort of wish list for locations. And that's where you can save possible locations that you want to visit in the future, and they will be not started or researching. And over time, you can come here and start planning your trip. So I can open Tokyo, for example, and then I have all those components open up for me, and I can plan the trip properly, following the checklists and making sure that everything is ready to go. When I open countries instead, I can see all the countries that either I visited or that are related to locations that I want to visit and that are in the system. So you can see how there are countries. Countries are related to one or multiple locations. Locations are related to flights, to accommodations, to experiences, to resources. So you can see how these related tables interact with each other. So whenever I open a country, I will then see here visa requirements that you can take notes on, all the locations within that country that I have saved in the system, any travel resources that are related to it, and then some additional statistics. And these are all automated just for you as a reference. In particular, you can see the total days available based on the 183-day rule, which is applied to many countries, not all of them, but it is helpful in my experience to keep track of that, just to make sure that you are aware of it and how to navigate your travel, especially if you travel often. If you do not travel often, then it's not an issue at all. You'll also find here a dedicated tab for accommodations grouped by location, and I can open the accommodation and see all the columns. In these pages, I can always create a new entry by clicking the new button at the top right corner. You will find that in countries, in locations, not in planning because that's automated. Then there are all the travel resources that you can save in here. I've included some sample resources here that are actual resources for traveling that I find useful. And finally, you will have the dashboard where you can easily add a location, add an accommodation, add a resource. You can see a timeline of all your travels and the locations that you visited. You can also change scope in here or fit the view to your liking. In here you have different years. You can quickly navigate over time. And then because these are the locations, you can always click on it and open the location page, which is the central point of this whole system where you can do all the planning and tracking of all the things to that location. You will then see some charts for countries and for locations, for the days left, the countries by continent. So over time, this can become useful insights, and you can always create your own charts from the data by using the dedicated command in your Coda doc. Now, if you unhide the source, you will find all the tables and the description of all the tables in here. These are the source tables. So they are important. They are what power the whole system that I showed you so far. And this is hidden because really it doesn't have to be displayed on the left sidebar. This concludes the overview of the Advanced Travel Manager. Let me know if you have questions. You will find the link in the description of this video. Take care. Bye.